Transcendental Transformation, the place where spirituality and transformation unite. Host Miss Raina imparts truth so that you can break through your limiting beliefs and evolve into a deeper consciousness. As you go about your day, remember, before every breakthrough, there is a breakdown. And now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Transcendental Transformation. I'm your host, Miss Raina, and today is Tuesday, July 28th, 2020. As always, we are coming live from the Sirius Star System studios right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I hope everything is well with everybody. Well, I'm back. I am excited to be back. It has been 3 long weeks, and I am excited. For those of you who don't know, follow my social media and stuff, I went on a trip to Chicago. Every summer, I enjoy to go on a trip to Chicago, and just kind of, I want to see my family. I want to see my mom. I want to spend time with her, and really just because when you leave home, at least to me, family is very important. And so when I leave home, or when I left home a long time ago, over 20 years ago, that's one of the things that I miss. So I try to make it a point to go in at least 1 to 2 times a year, especially during the summer for about 3 weeks, and visit my mom and visit my sister and everybody else, and just kind of see friends and family. And it was a really, really nice time. And, I didn't get the rest that I wanted to get. And it's funny because with me healing and my heart and everything and being on the couch for so long, I figured, hey, I'll go to Chicago, I'll swim in the pool, I'll relax on the couch. But no, as always, I had to do stuff for my family and everything like that. So I was up and down ladders, fixing this, running this, doing this. And, but we do that for our family, don't we? So, man, the Chicago dogs, and yes, you guys know that I eat I'm more of a flexitarian. I eat mostly vegetarian and vegan stuff, but I do enjoy my meat products once in a while, and one of those is the Chicago dog. If you guys have not had a Chicago dog, especially from Super Dogs in Chicago, you guys are missing it, because that is just so delicious. And and of course, I did have my deep dish pizza. I always got to go and have my deep dish pizza when I go to Chicago. But what's funny is that Chicago was still protesting. There were still a lot of protesters in Grant Park. And unfortunately, I got to see some of the altercations that were going on, and I think things are quieting down now. But while I was there was a lot of protesting, a lot of fighting. Cops were quitting the Chicago PD, and it just seemed like it was like a little bit of a madhouse. But Chicago and everything were opening up, all the restaurants and stores, and unfortunately, down here in Florida, we're not really. I mean, we're opening up, but we're having curfews and all that stuff. So coming back from less restrictive area to more of a restrictive area, I'm kind of feeling it. But yeah, it was such a lovely time, and and I really love spending time with my mom and my family and stuff. We got to see, we went to a metaphysical shop, got to buy some new cards, some new oracle cards. I bought a new flower of life symbol, and it was just really nice. So I want to send a special thank you to all those who came to visit me during Chicago. I really appreciate you taking the time to come see me, especially since I really couldn't drive. So I really want to thank you guys for that. All right, let's get into stuff, because we got a lot of stuff to cover. And as always, before we get into it, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, LinkedIn, and you can always catch our replays on soulandspiritguide.com, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitchers, and everything else. So you can find us everywhere, people. So we're spreading around. So all right, guys, let's talk about starseeds, and because today we are going to talk about indigo, crystal, and rainbow people, or children people, and that because indigos aren't children anymore. We're all grown up, and same with crystals. Crystals are growing up. They're adults now, so the only ones that are really children are the rainbows. And and pretty soon they're not going to be little anymore and everything like that. But I figured it was a good time to talk about this. And the reason why I figured it would be a good time to talk about this was because of all the changes that are going on. I know a lot of people I see on social media all the time, people are predicting doomsday for the for the world, and they're quoting things out of the Bible, and spiritual people are saying, "Oh, the world's falling apart," and everything. And you know, chaos comes with change, let me say that. And a lot of times we view, because we have such a limited perspective of change, we view chaos as something much greater than it has to be. But it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be so hard if we learn to understand what it is we're actually going through. And for a lot of us, we don't understand what's going on. And so when we see chaos, when we see things like the protesting and the riots and lockdowns and everything, we think the world is falling apart. The whole world is crumbling, and it's revelations or whatever. And this is not true. And even when I post some things that things are going to get hard, that just means that there are going to be more challenges ahead. That meaning a little bit harder, a little bit more, back to back. And over this next period, because we have to go through a human evolutionary transition, we have to understand that those challenges are put there in order for our souls to grow. And so when we resist change and we resist these type of ideas, then we don't grow. And that is why the Starseed people are here, is because these are individuals, and I'm going to get into it again, that have lived many, 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 many lives. I'm talking many, tens of thousands of lives, and on other planets. They have come here, that were evolved beings that have come here to teach people how to live and how to remember who they are through compassion, love, and understanding. And I know that may sound new agey to a lot of people, but it's true, because when we have an understanding, we have a compassion for ourselves and others, and then we have love for everybody else. And so we have to understand that has to happen in order for this. So a few things I want to put out there. And yes, I know this may make me sound like a Debbie Downer, but I really want to stress this, because a lot of times it is human nature for us to stick to labels. Every one of us is looking to be loved. Every one of us is looking to be, to be special, to be accepted, to be rich, or to be famous, or to be the cool person in the group. But this is something that has to evolve into understanding that we don't need these labels anymore. And when I talk about starseed children and people, a lot of us are going to tend to be like, oh, well, that's me because I have characteristics of that. And you may have a lot of characteristics, and you may be a starseed person. But oftentimes we like to attach ourselves to things because it makes us feel special. And I want to make sure that we understand that when being a starseed person, whether you're indigo, crystal, or rainbow, doesn't make us more special than anybody else. Remember, this is just a title for us to have. And so we don't go around saying, oh, I'm an indigo, oh, I'm crystal, I'm rainbow. We don't go around saying that, because it's not important to us. It's not important for us to understand, or to let everyone know who we are, because we have evolved to a point where it's just a title and it's meaningless. We have a job to do. We come here to do it, and that's what we're here to do. And so, one of the best things that starseed people do is we don't hold on to those labels, and that's important. So if you are a starseed and you're holding on to these labels, then you have to reevaluate, why you're holding on to these labels, because then naturally we don't care about this. And that's one of the hugest differences, or one of the biggest marks that I can tell a starseed right away, is they don't care about labels. They don't care to be called something. They don't care to tell people anything, because it doesn't matter. They're here to do a job. We do our job, and we do it to the best of our abilities. And hey, we're human too. We have a body, we have a skin, so we falter and everything like that. But we don't hold on to these ideas, and we use our gifts to help the world. And so it's not about proving better to one another. And starseed people really understand this. Whether, like I said, whether you're indigo, crystal, or rainbow, we really understand that it's not about proving yourself to everybody else. It's not about proving that you're better than somebody else. And so, understanding that, saying like that you're, that, well, I'm an indigo, and because I do this, and because I was born in this time period, and that, and you're wearing it like a badge, then that usually disproves of a starseed, because a starseed doesn't need that. And so we use our sometimes we'll use our labels, like once in a while I'll mention it, but most of the time I don't ever mention it because there's no point to it. But sometimes we'll use it when we're doing some type of work and we have to connect to another starseed so that they have an understanding. But most of us can tell who we are amongst each other, because there's just an energy that comes with it. And so I kind of want you to understand that if I'm talking to you, the true starseeds out there, then you already start to understand what I'm talking about. And if for the ones that are calling themselves starseeds and going around and wearing it like and making it like, kind of bringing out the ego, is really, we need to understand that that's not a place where we come from. So keep an open mind to a lot of what we're gonna talk about today, and just kind of go into things, and if some things you probably have heard, some things that you haven't heard, but just keep an open mind. Don't judge, don't attach yourself to what I'm saying. That's the hardest thing, because when we're trying to find out who we are, we want to attach ourselves to these ideas. We want to attach ourselves and just say, oh, that's me, without hearing the rest of the ideas. And the mind is a really tricky thing. So I just want to kind of put that out there, and just kind of understand that idea. So, if we look at starseeds, one of the things that starseeds do is, like I said, is they are individuals or spirits or beings that have lived on many different planets, and so, or a couple different planets, but they date back tens of thousands of years. They have lived on different planets, and they have evolved to come here to help humanity grow. And that is one of the biggest things, is that, like, I come from the Sirius star system, and that is why I call my studio the Sirius Star System Studios, is because my origins come from the Sirian star system. And so I understand that, and I understand where we come from. And so a lot of times that indigo, crystal, and rainbow children will know where they come from, will have an understanding without reading books, without reading into web shows and all these YouTube channels and stuff. They have an understanding of, one, where they come from already. They know where home was, and they understand why we're here. That is huge. We have reincarnated into Earth to help raise the vibration of the Earth into a higher dimensional energetic level, frequencies and everything, into a consciousness that's greater. And that is what's really going on. And so a lot of times what we're going to have is, we're going to have these beings that are going to have to separate themselves from a lot of what's going on, because right now there's a lot of chaos going on, and there's a lot of people that are so readily jumping into that chaos. And starseeds don't do that. We don't jump into chaos. We don't like chaos. That's not saying that we don't have our times of struggle, and we don't have our times of attitude, or we don't have our times of anger, because I know I've gone through that myself. But we always find a way back to who we are. No matter how much we run, no matter how lost we get, it's always a short period of time, and then it brings us back to who we are. And that is a huge thing, because our job is to help humanity grow, to teach humanity, and to raise that vibration up. We are dedicated to understanding the vibration of the universe and to raise humanity right now, because humanity is one of the greatest gifts that we have created for us, because this is a combination of so many different ideas coming into humanity. And so a lot of times that we don't, when we look at our ideas and we look at humanity, we always have these we have these ideas that have been taught to us from books and from people and from certain religions and spirituality, and that. But in reality, when we start to break things down, we start understanding things. And so a lot of people ask me, well, Miss Raina, if star seeds are here, and we come from a lot of those planets, and we were seeded here and stuff like that, what is humanity broken down to? And I say, well, most of humanity is broken down, that comes from the Orion constellation. And I'm not going to get too much into the Orion constellation, because that is a whole other thing. And I know some of you are out there and understanding the Orion gate and everything like that, but we're not going to get into that tonight. But most of the humans come from Orion, and there are some from Sirius. There are some from I don't really want to get too much into them, but there are from a lot of different planets. But most of humanity is from there. And so what we have to understand is that even though we're from different parts, we still have to understand to work together, because the consciousness of the Earth and the consciousness of who we are, as far as beyond what we incarnate here for, has to start raising, has to start changing. And so when we look at these things and we say, okay, well, and that's why I really want, if you are a starseed and you're struggling right now, then start remembering who you are. Start understanding, that you can separate yourself from humanity. And I know it feels like you're already separated from humanity. I get that. I don't really connect with too many people in this world. There's a very few handful of people. Most people don't understand the energy that comes across with me, so they separate themselves. And I get that. I really, really get that. And but you have to understand that the mission and who you are, once you remember who you are and the mission that you're on, that's going to change the outcome of the way it looks. So and you got to remember that you have a natural ability to assist to assist everybody to grow and change the vibration of the planet. We're here to help not only us, but the human race as well. And so a lot of times, and help the Earth grow too, because the Earth has to shift consciousness too, because a lot of us don't understand that the Earth is an actual being, a very highly advanced being that has come to share its knowledge through us. And so we are the Earth. We are part of that being, and that being is connected into so many different things. And again, we're not going to go into that, because I can go on to rant for a little while, but so we have to understand that, and we have to really understand it. And what's nice is when we come into ourselves, people really listen to us. They really start to understand us. They start to understand the ability. They start to understand, how we talk and what we're talking about. And even if they don't agree with us, there's still something inside of them that is attracted to us. And the reason why they're attracted to us, because even though their mind shuts down and says, no, that's not what I believe, it's still like their soul still says, wait, that's a starseed. That's someone who's here to help us. And so it's like this battle sometimes. And that's why a lot of times, and I'm sure if you've had this experience, I know I have, where people will instantly reject you, and all of a sudden they'll come back and they'll ask you for advice, and they'll tell you, well, I know you understand this and you understand that, and I can come to you with this stuff, because deep down they listen to us. And that is so important for us to understand. Even though you feel like right now you're not being heard at all, there are a lot of people that are listening to you on a subconscious level. So let's talk about some traits of a starseed. And this is very important to understand, is starseeds come with advanced knowledge. Okay, we don't need to be told by anybody. We don't need to read books. We don't need to watch YouTube channels. We don't need to take classes. The knowledge is already inside of us, and we know when we're hearing false information, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But we come with that knowledge. There's a knowledge programmed into our DNA that just comes out because we have the ability to connect, because we are such ancient souls. We are old ancient souls that have lived so many lives and are connected to this, and we are here for that purpose, because we have earned that right. And so we don't need a teacher. Oftentimes we are the teachers because we have that knowledge. And that's why so many people go against us at first sometimes, because we're bringing in knowledge that people don't understand, that people can't resonate with because they have been taught something else. And so, we have this sometimes we have this battle in our own selves where we understand this knowledge and we want to teach it and we want to share it, but we can't seem to connect to people. And, and that's a difficult situation sometimes. But Starseed people have more love and compassion of an understanding level, on an understanding level. So we understand why people are the way they are, why the world is the way they are, why you're acting or why the person next to you is acting the way they are. And they don't take it personally. Why? Because we have that understanding. We know that those souls are going through those situations and believe in those things because they have to be those things in order to grow. So we don't take it personally when someone doesn't grow, or when someone doesn't understand what we're talking about, and they're not growing to the point that we want them to grow, because we understand that, at that point in whatever soul's life, that's where they're at, and that's all that they're going to be able to understand. So what you do is you have compassion, you have understand, and you understand that. And you indigo people have tougher skins, and that the indigos have to have tougher skins. We're going to get into indigos in a little bit, but at first we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
A message from the life of Raina. We live in a world faced with many tough challenges. Our lives become chaotic and filled with disaster ever so quickly, most of the time before we even realize. Our issues beat down our mental mindset, and an imbalance of emotions become prevalent. The life of Raina is dedicated to helping people on the deepest spiritual level. Miss Raina, the creator of Transcendental Development and Growth, works on your core issues and finds the solutions which allow you to break free from the emotional bondages of life, helping you achieve the life you've always wanted to live. Isn't it time that you lived life for you? Call the Life of Raina, 561-846-2190, and schedule your appointment today. That's 561-846-2190. Or email thelifeofraina@icloud.com.
All right, everybody, we are back. If you're just joining us, I'm your host, Miss Raina, and you are listening to Transcendental Transformation. So, I forgot that we didn't change our commercial yet. So I know it says I Am Evolution with the Life of Raina, but we're going to get that fixed up pretty soon. So, I've been off for 3 weeks, and, my memory goes a little bit. So back to what we were talking about. So we have love and compassion and understanding for the souls. And if we don't have that compassion, if we don't understand, and we're calling people stupid, and we're being angry with other people, and we don't want to work on ourselves, and we don't want to do this, then we're not starseeds. As much as we want to believe we're starseeds, because starseeds, there are certain specific traits that all starseeds have, and if there's not that level of understanding, if there's not that level of compassion, if there's not that level of knowledge that's already given without being told something, then unfortunately that is not. But starseeds, we don't argue with people. We may have our arguments here and there, like once in a blue moon and stuff, but if we do, we get over it because we don't want to fight and argue with somebody. I had a situation that happened in Chicago this past 3 weeks, and I just didn't want any part of it. I allowed the person to be upset with me. I allowed them to get angry with me because they took something I said in a different perspective, and I just sat there and I felt compassion for them and love, and I let them be who they were, and I let them say whatever, and I didn't take it personally because it wasn't about me. One, I didn't want the energy, and two, I just didn't want to fight. And that's the way starseeds are. We see people for those ideas, and that is a huge understanding. So if you're one of those that are struggling with that, and then that is one of the biggest hurdles that we have to get over as humanity, is to stop fighting with each other and start understanding each other instead. So we have an understanding of the way of life, the way it is, and we know what we're here to do, and that's important. I've always known what I was here to do, regardless of all my parents and people telling me I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. I've always known in here what I'm supposed to do. And it's funny because it's a program. It's like a thirst. It's like a hunger. I can't stop being this no matter what. It is in my blood. It is in my sleep. I eat it, I drink it, and it is inside. It is ingrained in me through and through. And I know what I'm here to do, regardless of what anyone else tells me to do. And so that is a huge important thing. And so and again, this encompasses all three, crystals, indigo, and rainbow. So one of the things, let's get into indigo, because I already know I'm already way behind, and my media assistant's gonna yell at me because they're like, oh, you got to get through all three people today, not just two, and then do a show. So I'm gonna try my best, but you know how I like to talk and really get into what I need to talk about. But let's start with the indigo. So indigo is most indigos were born between the late 60s and the mid to late 70s, and that they are known as the spiritual warriors. And why are they the spiritual warriors? And remember earlier when I said that indigos have really tough skin? Well, there's a reason for that, and why is because they break things down. They are if they're, and I always equate it to building a home. Say like you bought a piece of property, and either there's an old beat up house on it that's fallen apart, or maybe there's a bunch of trees. The indigo people come in and they bulldoze that land. They wipe out all the stuff that's no longer needed, and they are the caterpillars, the bobcats, and everything. They come in and have to destroy anything. They have the toughest job out of all three. And why? Because they are here to break down the lies. Often indigo people have a hard time connecting because a lot of people see them as either mean or ruthless, or not ruthless in a nasty way, but I mean, like, they understand what their job is, and they don't deal with it. So when someone lies to them, they understand with compassion and stuff, but they dismiss it. They have a way of just pushing it away and saying, nope, that's not true. They're not afraid to speak their mind. They're not afraid to tell people and do the job that they have to do, regardless of how many people dislike them. So if they break down the traditional ways of thinking, they break down all the lies of society, and they try to teach people from starting to scratch, and they take the most resistance because they are the ones coming with the new information first. Whenever anybody hears new information, and there's always a resistance, and unfortunately that's why the indigos have such a tough, why they came in with such tough skins, is because they knew that they were going to take the most resistance, the most blunt force, the most hate, the most rejection, because they're coming in plowing the old ideas down, breaking it down, and saying, you know what, this is traditional, this is not the way that the world works. We have to raise our vibration, but in order to do this, we have to break things down and get rid of them. And so they are all about truth. They can see deception, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of indigo people have a hard time making friends, is because they can see deception, and people know that they can see deception, and they are afraid of them. And they're human lie detectors. They really are. Indigos are human lie detectors. They can detect a lie the moment it starts coming out of someone's mouth, and people know that, and so people are afraid of them. And it's easier for people who lie and try to manipulate people and life and everything like that to blame the person who's trying to help them than it is to blame themselves. And that's why indigos have such a tough skin, because they expose the lies, they expose the deception, but they want to do it in a loving way, but they know it's a tough job, but they have to have that thick skin to take the punches, to take the verbal abuse in order to set up for the crystal and the rainbow children to come in. It's been a really rough time for a lot of indigos. A lot of indigos are very rebellious, and they don't like conformity. They don't like politics. They don't like religion. They don't like conformity and spirituality, because they know it all constricts the mind and the spirit and everything. And so they're rebellious a lot of times, and not in like a in an immature way, but in a very I'm not going to follow what this is. I'm going to follow my own path. So they are the initiators of spiritual waking. So just remember that they have to lay that foundation down. They have to destroy all that's in the path, all the lies, all the misconceptions, all the traditional things that people are doing, because in order for us to raise our vibration, things need to be cleared out. And a lot of times, if you really get to know an indigo person, they are very inquisitive, they are very playful people, they like to joke around about. If you really get to know them, if you can get yourself past the judgment of you thinking that they're all tough, and that you can really get to see a playful, inquisitive side, and they're really very caring people, and that, but they just don't, because they have such tough skin, and because they were built, or because they came here built to be the clears and stuff like that. A lot of times they get caught up in that, I gotta do this, I gotta clear it, and anybody in the way, but then they revert back to yes, I do have love and compassion for them. And as I said, this goes with all crystal children, or all three starseed children. When we know something, we know it. There's nothing you are going to do to change our mind, because we have the knowledge that has been through our lives, that has been passed to us, that we have earned, that we have understood through our evolutionary period, and we're trying to pass that on to you. And so that sometimes comes across as being stubborn, headstrong, even sometimes a know-it-all, and that, but the starseed children will not bend or break when they know something. And a lot of times, they'll have compassion for people. They'll allow people to say what they have to say and stuff. And a lot of times they'll keep quiet. Oh, okay, I understand that, well, that's great that you believe that. Awesome, great. But you're not going to get them to change their views, because they have the knowledge. They have the growth and understanding. They don't care about opinions. And none of the starseed children don't. They want facts. They know facts. They know what they have to do. Religion, politics, spiritual stuff, anything that gets in the way, and that is gone. It's just a hard focus. And especially the rainbow children coming in. That's the rainbow children just have this their own, and we're going to get into rainbow children again, but they're just going to, when they get older, they're going to have this almost dismissive type of thing to anybody that has a that comes to them with lies, or comes to them with that, and not like, again, in a mean way, but they're going to come in a way where, okay, someone's going to say something, and they're almost going to seem like, okay, that's great, I'm focused on what it has to be. So yeah, if you indigos, a lot of times you're known as the wrecking balls, and I feel for all the indigos and everything like that, because it is a hard job. I know firsthand it's a hard job to go against the grain. It is a hard job to be the first people in the front line, to have to do the grunge work, but we know why we came to do it, and that, so just, if you're an indigo that sometimes struggles, because indigos, people do struggle. They really struggle with a lot of different things, and especially the emotional aspect, because they were built to be tough, and they were built to be kind of rebellious. And so that toughness and rebellious sometimes converts into anger for short periods of times. But just remember to be truthful to yourself. Remember to be who you are, and remember that you're here to do a job. And it's not about you. It's not about, making everyone wake up at the same time, because there's going to be billions of people that we're not going to be able to reach. But we're laying the foundation for the ones that are going to be able to make the jump, and in the future, thousands of years in the future, when those souls grow up and become in our place, then they'll be able to make the jumps when they're ready to. So always remember that lesson, and just take a step back. Just remember that the world doesn't hate you because you're here, because you're because of who you are. It's because that they don't understand why and what you are. They don't understand why you're here and why you're saying these things. And I mean, I get flack for this show. I've gotten, I get a lot of people, saying a lot of nice things to me, but I also get the the people that are resistant, and they hear my show, and sometimes they say some pretty nasty things, and I have to understand that that's where they're at. They see you as a threat sometimes because it's demolishing their world. And remember that we're not here to demolish a world, although some people will perceive it that way, because remember, they hold on to labels, they hold on to ideas, because that's what makes them feel who they are, because they don't understand themselves yet. We understand who we are, and so we have to allow the compassion and understanding for them in order for us to do our job, in order for them to eventually grow. So, I know you guys are loners, big time. Indigos are big time loners and everything like that. I know you guys do that. I know you guys are always in your heads thinking, being reflective, who they are in the world events, things that happen, everything that's told to them. I know that you guys are big thinkers, because that is what the Indigos are all about. It's about that energy of turning over and challenging everything, and Indigo people have to challenge, have to think in order for that to happen. So let's get into crystals for a little bit. I know I'm trying to go through this a little bit, so if it seems a little fast, I apologize, but I'm trying to get all three people, and this time is just going by so fast as always. But I know I have another commercial break coming up, but let's get into crystals for a little while. So crystal children are what? Crystal children are starseeds as well. They are beings that come in, that were born between the late 80s and the early 90s, and they are known as the spiritual teachers. And so these ones, after the Indigos come and lay and destroy the land and pave the dirt and get everything set for the house to be built, the crystals come in and start building the house, start laying the foundation. And yes, the Indigo people do teach as well, and that they do teach. They teach. They're also spiritual teachers as well. So don't say, "Well, I'm an Indigo and I teach people." Yes, I understand that. But crystal people, their whole job isn't to lay down the foundation. They're not here to break up the lies and to do all the grunge work. They're here as the medium. They start building the foundation, laying the foundation, building the house, figuring out what plans they want to do for the idea of the world, because their gifts are to help people understand on an emotional, mental, and an energetic level, and that's important. So although all starseeds come with heightened gifts of intuitiveness, psychic abilities, knowledge, and everything like that, the crystal children have this intuition of being able to see people on an emotional and mental level. They have this gift of being able to see and being able to really break apart somebody and understand where they have to go in order for them to heal, because they are also very talented healers, and but they have a deep connection to nature. They love nature. They are obsessed with nature. They love earth. They love crystals. And they have a clear and decisive path they have a clear and decisive focus of their path. They know what they're here to do. Like I said, all starseed children know what they are here to do, but the crystal children have this path as well, and they are very decisive, and they use nature because they have to have that emotional and mental connection in order for in order for them to reach the people that they're going to do. And they have that purpose of understanding that nothing in the world is going to stop it. This is a trait that is kind of all over, that kind of hangs all over all starseed children, because it's a passion inside them. But with the crystal children, if they sometimes lose their path, which happens sometimes, what ends up happening is they have this feeling of being lost and empty inside of them, and so they become really distraught, really lost, really almost like something is taken away, and they're placed in a whole new planet, and they're like, what is this place? Where am I doing? What am I supposed to do? And they get kind of caught up in that. But the good thing about starseed children is they bounce back into where they're supposed to be at. So, all right, guys, let me take a break, and we'll be right back after these messages from the Life of Raina.
A message from the Life of Raina. We live in a world faced with many tough challenges. Our lives become chaotic and filled with disaster ever so quickly, most of the time before we even realize. Our issues beat down our mental mindset, and an imbalance of emotions become prevalent. The Life of Raina is dedicated to helping people on the deepest spiritual level. Miss Raina, the creator of Transcendental Development and Growth, works on your core issues and finds the solutions which allow you to break free from the emotional bondages of life, helping you achieve the life you've always wanted to live. Isn't it time that you lived life for you? Call the Life of Raina, 561-846-2190, and schedule your appointment today. That's 561-846-2190. Or email thelifeofraina@icloud.com.
All right, everybody, we are back for the last part of our show, and we are talking about starseed children. So we're talking about crystal children that if they lose their purpose, they start to feel a little bit lost and empty. But when they have goals, they feel the most strong. They feel strong, confident, competent, and they have this direction of where they need to go. When they're young, a lot of times people feel that and this is true, that they become easily disconnected for a lot of things that happen. So when they're young, sometimes they're daydreaming, sometimes they feel that they're disconnected to the things that aren't important to them. And oftentimes, we haven't got into this too much, we'll get into this a little bit later, but oftentimes starseed children and starseed people are either diagnosed with some type of mental challenge, or like ADHD or dyslexia or depression, all these different things, because a lot of times the starseeds and the people talking to them, they don't understand what's going on in them. So it really takes some time, especially when they're children, to figure out why. And so sometimes crystal children become very disconnected, and that oftentimes causes them to become a little grumpy, moody, kind of like the I don't care, not in a rebellious way or a harsh way, but just if something doesn't grab their attention, it's not important to them. And yes, and I know a few people are going to say, well, I'm an indigo, I'm a rainbow, it kind of feels that way too. And that's true, but this is especially prevalent for crystal children. They have a huge passion to heal. They love to heal. As I said earlier, they heal on a mental, emotional, and physical, on an energetic level. So they can really break down and understand what's going on inside of you, because they can see it. They can hear it. They can understand it by your actions. They can look at you and ask you a question, and as you're talking, they can understand your energetic level and really break it down and say, okay, you know what, this is what's going on with this person, and I understand that this is where they need to go. So I can understand how to raise the vibration, or how to help them raise the vibration in order for them to grow. And that's what they do best, because that's what they are. They are the healers. And that, so indigos do heal, rainbows do heal as well, but indigos do it on more of an individual level. We like to do things one-on-one. Crystals are all about groups. They love groups. They love to be around people. They love the hugs and the kumbayas and the sharing, and that the indigos are a little bit more reserved, the loner type, and they kind of keep to themselves. But you know what? The crystals are very energetic, and indigos, you guys are too. You guys are very energetic as well. But the thing is that you use your energy for what you like to desire, but you guys have a lot of energies. But crystals are very energetic, and one of the things that the crystals have to be cautious of and conscious of is the things that affect them. So what you guys eat, who you talk to, the chemicals around you, the people around you, the energetic levels, the environment, everything. Those are all very effective of starseed children, but especially crystals, because remember, crystals are deeply connected to nature, and so the physical things affect them more. So a lot of times, if you crystal people start eating your diet changes into a poor diet, you're going to notice you're struggling a lot longer, because it shifts your mood, because you're that connected to that physical part. You're that connected to the idea of that nature part. And so it's very important, for crystals to understand who's around them, what's going on around them, the chemicals around them, their environment, what they eat, and even conversations. If you're not in the right conversation, if mentally and stuff, and someone's coming at you and you're not in the right mode and stuff like that, can really change your level because of that transmission, because of how you transmute the energetic level between people. And you guys love that energy exchange. Well, all starseeds do, but you guys love that energy connection. And crystals are their personalities are very chill. They don't involve themselves into a lot of stuff. They like groups, but they'll be the ones to sit back and kind of be happy, smile, and make a comment here and there. They have a lot of energy, and they'll be very outgoing once they get to know people. But a lot of times in larger groups and stuff, they'll just be happy just to be kind of chill and just kind of sit back and do things. But but they're also very unforgiving too as well. So if you ever make a mistake around crystal children, even the tough ones like indigos and stuff, and that you guys have to understand, for those of you that aren't starseed children or starseed people, that they are very forgiving, and no matter how much you hurt them, no matter how much you do, they may walk away from you if you cross a line, but they're very forgiving. They're very understanding. They don't blame you, or they don't point the blame. They don't point the finger. They just want you to heal. And like I was saying, the situation that happened to me in Chicago and stuff, I'm not mad, I'm not upset over it. I want the person who that happened with, I want them to heal, I want them to grow, and I wish them all the best. And that's the truth of the starseed people. And the crystals are very much like that. Their attitude is live and let live. Hey, it's cool, don't worry about it, I understand and stuff. But all starseeds will eventually put up a boundary, and that's one of the things that are very prevalent in starseeds, is they will have their set boundaries, because boundaries is very important to starseeds. Because as much as we love people, as much as we want to help people, we also have to have our energy and our time and our understanding. And if someone starts encroaching on that way too much, then we will push back and we will set our boundaries, because we have to understand that maintaining us, if we're to help this world grow and we're to help our energetic levels and the consciousness grow, then we have to maintain who we are. So all right, guys, we got about 15 minutes left, and let's get into rainbow people really quick. And yes, I'm getting into all three, so kudos for me. And so rainbow people, or rainbow children right now, as you guys will understand, that are the youngest. They were born in the early 2000s and to mid 2000s, and they're still young. Some of them may be 20, 18 years old now and everything like that, but a lot of them are still young. And what's nice about the rainbows is they are here to once the indigos clear the foundation, or clear the property, and the crystal children lay the foundation down, the rainbow people are here to put the finishing touches. After the crystal builds the foundation and lay the house and stuff, they put the finishing touches. They're here to show what the house or what people can really be. And that's one of the reasons why that rainbow people will have such an understanding. And I know a lot of parents are all going to say, oh, well, my kid, because they're smart and stuff, oh, my kid's a rainbow. If your kid has an understanding of life and doesn't get upset and doesn't have it's like a whole disconnection of the world, but if they are just a very kind, compassionate person with a huge understanding that not even you can understand, then yes, you probably have yourself a rainbow child. Because a rainbow child, a lot of times we look at this as, as gifted, and they say, oh, well, indigo children are gifted, crystal children are gifted, stars. It's not gifted. It's to show us, and this is very true for the rainbow, but it's to show people what your capabilities are. And so the indigos never really got pegged as gifted because it was the battle. It was the battle of old traditions versus new traditions, and so they were dismissed. The crystal children started to be looked at as gifted because people started to awaken and started to say, "Oh wow, there's people or children out here being born that have special gifts," and they're not special gifts. And rainbow children, which will turn into rainbow people, will seem like they are just super people because they're gifted, but it's not that. It's to show you what you're truly capable. Our minds and our perception of humanity is so low compared to what it can be. We are so limited because we are told that there's a God out there and we're subservient to it, and we have all these different limitations to our minds, and so when people come in with these gifts and that all of a sudden it thinks, oh well, they're remarkable, they're special. And that's why the rainbow people and the the crystal and the indigos say, no, we're not gifted, we're not more special than you, we are you, but we're just showing you what you could be and what you're capable of. And so listen, so if you if you're around someone who's a starseed, don't feel intimidated. Don't think that they're more special than you. Learn from them. Understand that could be you if you open up. And so that's one of the main things that they want to show. They're here to say, you know what? The foundation, the house has been laid. Let's make this house beautiful. And so they're here to finalize the transition, the evolutionary jump, to build the new world, to raise that consciousness and show people over the next 100, 200 years of what humanity can be. Because although we have this evolution that's going on, from 2020 to 2025, maybe a little bit to 2026, but it's going to carry on to 2060, 2070, 80, 90, because consciousness just doesn't happen overnight. And although the brunt of it is going to happen now, and that it still takes time for people to evolve and catch up. And so a lot of people are going to feel outdated if they don't start opening their minds. And it's not, and that's where a lot of times we get lost and we become jealous, is where our ego steps in. So don't ever look at a starseed child as special or different, and that they're not. They're you, and that they're just been through the same things you've been. They're older than you. They're understanding of you, or understanding more of life than what we understand here as humanity. And that is the most important thing. So rainbow people are very giving. They love to share. They're very expressive with their emotions. A lot of times we don't understand like our emotions, and they're here to tell us, they're here to show us the emotions, and even though emotions aren't real, we still use emotions for data. We still use the emotions to understand how we process our experiences, and that's what they're going to teach you. That's what they're going to show. When I'm old and wrinkly and my time has come, they are going to be stepping up and saying, hey, this is how we use this energy to translate, to make our world better, to make us better, to grow, to do all these things, because they are all about the higher self. And what I mean by higher self, because there's not a higher self about us. Our higher self is the knowledge that we have inside of us. A lot of times we think that there's this higher self that knows more than us, and it's not. Our higher self is who we are in truth. It's our spirit, actually, and that it's not our soul, it's not our body, it's our spirit. And our spirit knows what we're here to do, what we need to do, the knowledge that we have, and so it allows us to connect to that, because in order for us to raise the vibration, in order for us to grow in consciousness, we have to connect to that higher self. If we can't connect to ourselves, and I don't like saying higher self, because that makes it seem like it's greater than us. If we don't connect to ourselves, then we cannot have an understanding, we cannot grow in consciousness. And so rainbow children want to teach the people of this world, unconditional love. And unconditional love is something that a lot of people have a very hard time with, because unconditional love means that we think that we have to love everybody and anybody equally. And it's hard because we want to think of people that don't think like us. We judge them, we call them names, and we get angry at people. And we have to understand that no matter what, that we're all on the same page. We're all that perspective of each other, experiencing things in different perspectives. And so that unconditional love will start to radiate. And it's a big lesson for a lot of people who aren't making this jump, because a lot of people who aren't going to make this jump, even the ones that think that they are, that don't, will realize through the Rainbow Children that, oh my God, wow, I'm not as loving and caring as I think I am. You know, it almost be like a Mr. Rogers, where if you watch the Mr. Rogers documentary with Tom Hanks and stuff, people are like, wow, this makes me want to be a better person. Well, that's similar to what Rainbow Children are going to kind of do. It's going to constantly show people on a daily basis in their lives, just because they're being who they are, and they're going to understand that. And what makes them so special is that, in the sense of not special versus non-special, but you know, most of the rainbow people that come this will be their first incarnated life here on Earth, and so as a human. And so most of them will be coming from the fifth dimension. They will be placed all the time in families that get along, because they have no karmic ties. They have no ties to any family groups or soul groups, and so what they'll do is they'll place themselves into a time period, into a family that's going to get along, because they don't need to be involved in the karma and the dharma and the drama of a family that doesn't need to get along, because they need to remain pure. And so they will put themselves in families that get along, and that is a huge tip. So families, mom, dads, if you guys are listening and your family does not get along and they fight, and your siblings fight, then your child is probably not a rainbow child, because they will not do that. They will not fight. They will not get along. They will just move along, because they understand that they do not need it, but they are specifically put in there for those reasons. So, all right, guys, we got like a few minutes left. You know what? Honestly, let me get some. Like I kind of told you about a lot of the commonalities and differences and stuff, but you know what? I want to talk about on a lot of Starseed, and this is to you Starseeds, is I know a lot of you sometimes will go through anxiety and depression, and often especially the Indigos, and will often be diagnosed that, because especially when you're young, the parents and psychiatrists and therapists won't understand how to understand who you are, because they don't understand what you're feeling, so they don't know how to help you other than label you as that. Just remember that, you know, that the anxiety and depression is usually caused and that by shifts in our own self and not being who we are. And a lot of times when we realize who we truly are and really focus on the mission and walk away from money, walk away from belief systems, walk away from politics, all the stuff that creates chaos here, and we become who we're meant to be, and that all that stuff goes away. And it's such an amazing thing when you finally understand that. So just always remember to work on the heart level, come from love, compassion, and understanding. You know, make sure that, you know, if someone comes to you with anger, pain, and suffering, please remember to have compassion for them and start changing the world that way. So, all right, guys, we only have a couple minutes left, so I am going to end the show here. I forgot my little book, as always, and I got a bunch of stuff on it. I'm just a mess. See? Go away for 3 weeks, and what happens? So, all right, guys, please follow us on our Facebook at facebook.com/Transcendental Transformation. Follow us up on our YouTube at youtube.com/Transcendental Transformation Radio Show. Visit my website, soulandspiritguide.com, and make sure you sign up for the VIP or to get access to the VIP, so that you can have things for like special guest offers and everything. And always remember to believe in yourself, and it's not our abilities, our talents that make us who we are, but it is our choices. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.